The city slept under a veil of mist, broken only by the soft glow of neon lights reflecting on wet streets. Dante Moretti, the feared and respected Mafia boss, sat alone in his high-rise office. The world outside could not touch him here. Power, money, and fear surrounded him like a shield. Yet tonight, a different kind of tension pressed on his chest. He sipped from a glass of whiskey, watching the rain slide down the tall windows. It was 2 a.m., a time when the city was quiet, when deals and betrayals rested for a moment, and when Dante allowed himself to think. His thoughts, however, were interrupted by the sharp ring of his phone. The sound cut through the silence like a knife. Dante's hand paused mid-air. He rarely received calls at this hour. The number flashing on the screen was familiar, hauntingly so. Isabella. His chest tightened. It had been years since they last spoke, years since he had left her behind, walking away from love and regret, burying his feelings beneath the weight of his empire, and now the past came calling in the dead of night. Dante, please, help me. Her voice trembled over the line, urgent and desperate. It's happening. I'm having the baby, Dante. Only you can help me. The world around him seemed to vanish. The careful control, the cold precision of a mafia boss faltered. He felt raw fear and a surge of emotions he had tried to forget. Love, guilt, responsibility. The tiny life she carried, his child, tugged at a part of him he had kept locked away. Without a word, he grabbed his coat and left the office. The rain greeted him as he stepped into the night, cold and sharp. Every step was a battle against his own racing heart. Memories of Isabella flooded back. The way her hair fell across her face, the softness of her smile, the warmth of her touch. And now, she was in danger, alone, giving birth to their child. His car roared to life, tires splashing through puddles as he drove through the city streets. The familiar lanes, usually a stage for his power and influence, now felt treacherous. Shadows lurked in every alley, reminders of enemies he had made, rivals waiting for a chance to strike. But none of that mattered. Only Isabella. Only the child. The journey was tense. Dante's mind raced, considering every possible obstacle. The streets were unusually quiet, almost too quiet. It was as if the city itself held its breath, waiting for what was to come. He reached the outskirts where the old maternity clinic stood, a building long abandoned, its windows dark and hollow. This was where Isabella had said she was hiding, where the pain of labor had forced her to seek safety in secrecy. Dante ran through the rain, heart pounding. The door of the clinic was ajar, swaying slightly with the wind. He pushed it open and stepped inside. Shadows moved within, and a low, threatening murmur brushed against the walls. His instincts screamed danger, but he could not stop now, not when she was so close, so vulnerable. Isabella! His voice echoed through the empty halls. A cry answered him. Not just a scream of pain, but one of fear. He followed the sound, ignoring the unease creeping along his spine. And then he saw her, Isabella, her face pale, drenched in sweat, clutching her stomach as waves of labor shook her. She looked up, eyes wide with terror and relief all at once. Dante, you came, she gasped. Her voice broke. I didn't know who else to call. Please, you have to help me. The baby, it's coming. Dante's heart ached. She looked so fragile, so human, beyond the years of tension and pride that had separated them. He rushed to her side, placing a steadying hand on her arm. His own strength, honed by years of danger and control, now served to protect something far more precious than power or money. You're not alone, he said firmly. I'm here. I won't let anything happen to you, or to our child. Her eyes softened for a moment, a flicker of the love they had shared long ago. But fear returned quickly. She leaned back against the wall, breathing hard, and whispered, There's someone else here, I think. They're watching me. I don't know why, but they want the baby, Dante. You have to hurry. The words hit him like a thunderbolt. His mind sharpened instantly. Whoever had tracked her down, whoever had plans for the child, was dangerous. But he was Dante Moretti. The shadows feared him, rivals respected him, and nothing would stop him from reaching her. He helped Isabella to her feet, supporting her with strong arms. Every step was measured, cautious, and protective. He scanned the darkened corridors, every shadow a potential threat. Every echo of their footsteps sounded like a warning. But he focused on her, on the small life they had created together. "You have to trust me," he said, gripping her hand tightly. "I won't let anyone take you or the baby, not now." "Not ever." Isabella's eyes filled with tears. I'm scared, Dante. "I don't know if I can do this, Ma, you can," he whispered, his voice low but firm. "And you won't do it alone." They moved deeper into the clinic, searching for a safe room, a place to wait out the danger. Dante's instincts guided him, aware of every creaking floorboard, every distant sound. Then a shadow moved at the edge of his vision. A figure stepped forward, cloaked and silent, watching. The air seemed to thicken, the tension almost unbearable. Dante's hand went to the small pistol at his side, a reminder that in his world, protection often required force. But he did not raise it yet. He needed to understand the threat first. And in that tense silence, Isabella's labor intensified, her cries echoing through the empty halls. "This way," he murmured, guiding her into a small, unused room that smelled faintly of old medicine. "Sit here." "I'll handle this." She sank to the floor, trembling. Dante knelt beside her, holding her hand, trying to provide comfort and strength. He had faced countless enemies, walked through fire, and survived betrayals. But this, and protecting her, their child, witnessing her pain, was unlike anything else. His heart ached with love, guilt, and an urgent need to redeem himself. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps echoed in the corridor outside. Not many, but deliberate. Someone was coming. Dante stiffened, his protective instincts rising like a wall around them. The figure moved closer, a shadow among shadows, waiting, calculating. Isabella clutched his arm, fear and trust mingling in her gaze. "Dante, what do we do?" He looked at her, then back toward the corridor. "We survive together. I won't let them take you. Not tonight." The shadow halted at the doorway, just a silhouette against the dim light. Then a cold, low voice called out, "The child belongs to us. Step aside, Moretti, or you will regret it." Dante's jaw tightened. He rose, standing in front of Isabella, his presence a barrier against the darkness. The city had made him feared, ruthless, and untouchable. But here, in this moment, fear and power collided with love and duty. He spoke slowly, deliberately, every word carrying weight. "No one takes what is mine. Not you, not anyone. Stay back, or you will learn why they call me Dante Moretti." The silence stretched, thick and tense. Then a low laugh echoed, chilling in the confined space. The figure stepped slightly forward, revealing only a shadowed face. The danger was real, but Dante's resolve was stronger. He would fight. He would protect. And he would not fail. Isabella's grip on his hand tightened. "Dante, I'm scared," she whispered. He leaned down, brushing a wet strand of hair from her face. "I know, but I'm here. I'll never leave, not now, not ever." And with that, the first battle of the night was set. Outside, the rain continued to fall, drumming against the clinic roof, mixing with the tension, the fear, and the fragile hope that one night, in the shadows, love could still survive. The shadow in the doorway hesitated, then slowly stepped into the dimly lit room. Dante's eyes narrowed, every muscle in his body tense. He stood firmly in front of Isabella, his presence a wall between her and danger. The stranger's movements were calculated, almost silent, but Dante had faced many threats before. He knew fear as a weapon, but this fear was different. It wasn't about power, money, or territory. This was about love, about life, about a child who carried the bond of the past. "Step aside, Moretti," the figure said, voice low and threatening. "The child belongs to us. Hand her over, or you will regret it." Dante's hand brushed against the pistol at his side. His instinct screamed, but he kept his voice steady, calm. "No one takes what is mine, not you, not anyone." Isabella's eyes widened, but she did not move. She trusted him. She had no other choice. And that trust burned within Dante, giving him strength beyond any weapon. The stranger moved closer, and Dante shifted to block the path. His mind raced. The child in Isabella's womb was his responsibility, and he would not fail. The years of crime, the battles, the betrayals, all of it meant nothing if he could not protect what mattered now. Suddenly, the figure lunged. Dante reacted instantly, shoving Isabella behind him and meeting the attacker with brute force. The two men clashed, shadows moving in the flickering light. Dante's training, experience, and sheer determination gave him the upper hand. He pushed the intruder back, forcing him toward the corridor. But the figure was not alone. Another shadow appeared, and then another. Dante's mind raced. The abandoned clinic, Quiet and empty moments ago was now alive with danger, but he did not panic. He could not. Isabella needed him calm, strong, and ready. Dante, they're too many, Isabella whispered, fear in her voice. Her hand gripped his arm, trembling. I know, he replied softly, brushing her hair back, but I will not let them touch you. Stay behind me. The shadows advanced, circling them, testing, waiting. Dante's heart pounded, but he kept his focus. Each movement, each step was calculated. His world had been one of power and violence, yes, but this, protecting Isabella and the child, was a different kind of fight. One that demanded courage not just of the body but of the heart. He grabbed Isabella's hand and pulled her toward a side door. We need to move, quickly. The hallways were narrow and dark. Rain seeped through cracks in the roof, creating slippery puddles. Dante guided her carefully, aware of every sound, every shadow. His mind replayed memories of her, the laughter they had shared, the night spent dreaming together, the pain of separation. And now they were here, together again, facing danger that could tear them apart forever. Dante, I'm scared, Isabella said, voice trembling. I don't know if I can do this. You can, he said, squeezing her hand. And you will. I won't let anything happen to you, not now, not ever. As they moved deeper into the clinic, Dante noticed strange symbols on the walls, barely visible in the dim light. They were unfamiliar to him, carved into the plaster with precision. A cold shiver ran down his spine. Whoever had planned this knew more than just the streets of the city. There was something darker at play, something almost supernatural. The shadows followed them, silent but relentless. Dante's mind raced. He needed a place to hide, to protect Isabella while she went into labor. He spotted a small storage room at the end of a corridor, its door slightly ajar. This way, he whispered. They slipped inside. Dante secured the door, using whatever he could find to block it. Isabella sank to the floor, exhausted and in pain. Dante knelt beside her, brushing damp strands of hair from her face. You're safe here, he said gently. I'll stay with you. I promise. Her eyes softened, filled with a mix of fear, relief, and something deeper. Love. Even in this moment of terror, the bond between them was alive, fragile but unbroken. Hours passed. The storm outside intensified, rain lashing against the walls, thunder rolling across the city. The clinic seemed alive with shadows, each noise magnified by fear and anticipation. Dante kept watch, every sense alert. The intruders had not given up. They were outside, waiting and perhaps watching, biding their time. Isabella's labor grew stronger. She clutched his arm, biting back cries of pain. Dante held her hand, whispering words of encouragement, grounding her in the moment. He could feel the weight of the child, the promise of new life, and it gave him strength he had never known. You're doing great, he said softly. Just a little longer. We'll get through this together. Her eyes met his, and for a brief moment the past returned. Not the fear, not the separation, but the love they had shared. Memories of stolen kisses, quiet nights, and whispered dreams filled the room. Dante realized that no amount of power or fear had been worth losing her, and now he had a chance to protect them both, to make things right. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from the corridor. The intruders had found another way in. Dante's eyes flared with determination. He rose, standing in front of Isabella once more. Stay here. I'll handle this. He stepped into the hallway, moving with precision, using shadows and the storm to his advantage. Each strike, each movement was controlled, calculated, and lethal if necessary. He could not afford to fail. This was not just about survival. It was about love, about redemption, about building a future he had once thought impossible. The intruders were skilled, but Dante's resolve was stronger. He fought not for power, not for revenge, but for the fragile life inside the room. For the woman who had trusted him despite the years, for the promise of a family they were about to begin. After a tense struggle, he forced the last shadow back into the night. Silence returned, broken only by the sound of Isabella's breathing and the storm outside. Dante returned to her side, sweat and rain mixing on his face, heart still pounding. You're safe, he said, kneeling beside her. For now, she smiled weakly, exhaustion and relief in her eyes. Thank you, Dante, for coming, for everything. He brushed his fingers across her cheek, the touch tender, full of unspoken words. I'll always come, always, you and the child, nothing matters more. As the night wore on, the labor continued. Dante stayed close, holding her hand, whispering encouragement, keeping her calm. The danger had not passed, but in that small, abandoned room, love and hope grew stronger than fear. But even in the quiet, Dante knew this was only the beginning. Outside, the city waited. Shadows lingered, and new threats stirred in the darkness. Whoever had tried to take Isabella and their child was not finished. They had plans, and Dante's past would soon collide with his present. He tightened his grip on her hand, eyes scanning the door and the windows. "No matter what comes, I won't let them take you. I promise." Her eyes filled with tears, and she whispered, "I believe you. Dante, I trust you." And in that trust he found a renewed strength, a promise that no power, no shadow, no danger could break. Love, redemption, and the bond of family would guide him, even through the darkest night. But as the first light of dawn crept through the broken windows, a faint sound reached Dante's ears, a whisper, almost imperceptible, coming from the shadows outside. They were not gone. They had only waited, and Dante knew, with a chilling certainty, that the real challenge was yet to come. Cliffhanger. A cold wind swept through the room, carrying a whisper of warning. "The child will be ours. Moretti cannot protect them forever." Dante's eyes hardened. He understood. The fight for Isabella and their child was far from over, and the next battle would test everything he had, everything he was willing to risk. The first light of dawn filtered through the broken windows of the abandoned clinic, painting the room in pale gold and gray. Dante Moretti remained at Isabella's side, sweat dripping down his face, heart still pounding from the night's struggle. Her labor was near its peak, each wave of pain bringing both terror and hope. Outside, the city was awakening, but Dante knew the danger had not passed. The shadows that had hunted them would return, and soon. He leaned close to her, brushing damp hair from her face. "You're almost there," he whispered. "Stay with me, breathe, you're not alone." Isabella nodded weakly, gripping his hand tightly. I can do this. Because you're here." Dante's chest ached. Years of pride, power, and control had never made him feel this vulnerable. Yet it was a strength unlike any he had known. Protecting her, holding her, sharing this fear and hope, this was redemption. This was love. A distant sound broke the fragile calm, the unmistakable echo of footsteps in the hallway. Dante's eyes narrowed, muscles tensing. The intruders had returned, and they were closer this time. But he would not flee. He would not hesitate. Nothing could keep him from Isabella and their child. "Dante, I think they're coming," she whispered, fear threading her voice. "I know," he replied, "but we are ready. I won't let them take you." The footsteps grew louder, deliberate and threatening. Dante rose slowly, positioning himself in front of Isabella like a living shield. He could feel her heartbeat against his chest, hear the rapid rise and fall of her breathing. Every sense was alert, ready. Every shadow could be an enemy. Every movement counted. The first figure appeared in the doorway, a tall, dark silhouette, armed and dangerous. Dante's hand moved instinctively, ready to defend. But instead of charging, he stood firm, unflinching. The intruder hesitated. Fear or respect flashed in the shadow's eyes. Dante's presence, his reputation, and the fierce love that radiated from him made it clear. Anyone who threatened them would face a wall of unyielding power. "You will not take them," Dante said, his voice low and steady. "Leave now or face the consequences." The shadow stepped back, uncertainty growing. But this was only the beginning. More figures appeared surrounding the building, moving like a tide of darkness. Dante realized he could not fight them all here. He needed a plan. "Isabella, stay close to me. Trust me," he said, guiding her toward a back exit. They slipped into a narrow alley, rain still falling, streets slick with water. Dante's mind raced, calculating their next move. Every step had to be precise. Every choice could mean life or death. The intruders followed, but Dante used the city's shadows to his advantage. Narrow lanes, high walls, and the storm's cover allowed them to move unseen for a time. But Dante knew it wouldn't last. Soon the chase would end and the confrontation would come. Finally, they reached an abandoned warehouse, safe for the moment. Dante helped Isabella inside, finding a small room that could serve as a temporary refuge. She sank to the floor, exhausted, trembling, and Dante knelt beside her. "You're doing beautifully," he said gently. "Just a little longer." The contractions intensified. Isabella gripped his hand so tightly that her nails left marks. Dante's heart ached at her pain, but he stayed calm, whispering encouragement, holding her, reminding her she was not alone. Minutes passed like hours. The storm outside roared, rain slamming against the warehouse roof, thunder shaking the walls. And then finally a cry broke the tension. A soft, urgent wail that filled the room. Isabella had given birth. Dante's chest swelled with emotion. He leaned over, eyes meeting hers. "She's here," he said, voice trembling. "Our child is here." Tears filled Isabella's eyes as Dante lifted the small, wet bundle into his arms. The child's tiny hands moved, searching, clinging. Dante felt an overwhelming surge of love and protectiveness. This child, this miracle, was the bridge between the past and the future. A chance for redemption. A symbol of the life he wanted to build. "She's perfect," Isabella whispered, voice breaking. "Thank you for staying, for being here." "You don't need to thank me," Dante replied, brushing a gentle kiss across her forehead. "I promised I would protect you, and I always will." For a moment the world outside the warehouse seemed to pause. The rain, the shadows, the threats, all faded into the background. There was only love, hope, and the fragile miracle in Dante's arms. But peace was fleeting. A loud crash echoed from outside. The intruders had found them again. Dante's jaw tightened. He rose, cradling the child, eyes blazing with determination. "They won't take her," he said, voice low and hard. "Not now. Not ever." The intruders forced their way in, but Dante was ready. He moved with precision, strength, and calculated force, protecting Isabella and the baby at all costs. Each strike, each movement was guided not by vengeance or pride, but by love. By the need to protect his family. The fight was intense, shadows and rain mixing with the chaos. Dante's experience, combined with his fierce protective instinct, gave him the edge. One by one, the intruders were forced back until finally, silence returned. The warehouse was still, save for the soft cries of the baby and the heavy breathing of its parents. Dante sank to his knees beside Isabella, placing the child carefully between them. His hand rested on her shoulder, holding her close. "We did it," he said softly. "We're safe. For now." Isabella's eyes glistened with tears. "I never thought we could survive this," she whispered. "But you never gave up. I told you," Dante said, brushing her hair back. "I promised. And I meant it. You and the child. You are everything to me now." A quiet moment passed. The storm outside began to ease, rain slowing to a soft drizzle. Dawn's light touched the room, warm and golden, as if blessing this new beginning. Dante held the child close, feeling the weight of responsibility and the joy of life mingled in one fragile, perfect moment. "This is our chance," he said, voice firm but gentle. "A chance to start over, to protect what truly matters. Nothing else will matter but us." Isabella nodded, resting her head against his shoulder. "I trust you, Dante, I always have." He kissed her forehead, silently vowing that this trust would never be broken. He would fight, protect, and nurture the life they had created. The past could not haunt them anymore. This was their redemption, born in the storm, strengthened in danger, and sealed in love. But even as they held each other, Dante knew the world outside remained dangerous. Shadows lingered, and rivals would remember the strength and fury of Dante Moretti. But for now, nothing could touch them. They were together, alive, and stronger than the darkness that had tried to tear them apart. For the first time in years, Dante felt hope. Not the cold, calculated hope of a Mafia boss, but a warm, steady hope born from love and family. He had walked through fire, faced death and battled shadows, and now he had found something worth more than all his power: trust, love, and a family of his own. As dawn broke fully over the city, Dante held Isabella and their child close. The world outside was still full of danger, but inside that small warehouse there was only peace, only love, and the promise of a future they would face together, no matter what came. The child's soft cries filled the room, a reminder of life, hope, and a bond that could never be broken. Dante kissed Isabella's forehead once more, whispering, "We are safe, and we will always be, together." The storm had passed, the shadows had been defeated, and in the quiet light of morning, Dante knew that this was only the beginning, not of fear, or loss or violence, but of love, protection, and redemption. Ending cliffhanger. Outside the warehouse, a lone figure watched from the rooftops, hidden in shadow. Though Dante had survived tonight, the city's darkness never truly slept. Danger lingered. But Dante, now stronger and more determined than ever, would face it, all for Isabella and their child.